Alright, this party is alive. This party is a kicking. Yeah, kicking me head in. This is Spider-Girl issue 9. The first issue by Marky Mark G. The first one in Marky Mark G's run. This is a great issue. Well, there is a lot of great stuff in it. And it was starting here where Spider-Girl's title, for the briefest of time, felt like it had a purpose and an identity. This is a simple, done-in-one story with Spider-Girl hunting a weird... not a serial killer, not a vigilante, artist, I suppose. I don't know what you would call them. Our art is by Carmine Falcone, and we have the ropiest bit of art from him to begin with, followed by what is one of his best pieces of art in the issue, and maybe at Marvel. Spider-Girl's friend, Jeremy Hunt, encounters this creepy figure in an alleyway. He is called the Needle, and he is terrifically odd and unsettling. His deal is that he goes around and he stitches people's mouths shut. That is all he does. He stitches people's mouths shut. Big fan of the Needle, me. He stitches Jeremy Hunt's mouth shut. Before this, before Marky Mark, Spider-Girl series was all over the place in terms of what style it was going for. It would be superhero fantasy one week and then espionage action the next. Mark Wolfenstein wrote the first 8 issues, and we will come back to him, and now what we have here is building on summit from an issue or 2 of his run. So after this attack, Spider-Girl visits Jeremy in hospital, and so she gets pointed towards the Needle, and she makes it a mission to catch the weirdo who did this to her friend Jeremy. In many ways, this is another basic story, but it really fucking works. This is also the best use of Carmine Falcone at Marvel. Carmine Falcone cut his teeth on Batman and Detective Batman and horror anthology stories. And that is exactly what this run and this issue in particular are evoking. It is what makes this the most interesting Spider-Girl run. Every other run made Spider-Girl a series into a bland superhero book without much that you could point to as uniquely Spider-Girl. Christopher Clairvoyant on Spider-Girl, for example, is interchangeable with Christopher Clairvoyant on Miss Marbles. This, however, is stamping its foot down, and it is saying that what can set Spider-Girl apart is the sort of thing she combats. In some ways, the Needle is a down-to-earth threat, but he's also freaky and haunting and spooky. That is basically what Spider-Girl is under Marky Mark G. She is a superhero who is facing weird and unusual night terrors in San Francisco, be it the needle or a death cult or a melting man, which is a metaphor for something, but we'll come to that in another video. And this isn't a complete reinvention. Mark Wolfenstein hit on the same idea briefly for one story, the Hangman one. Another mention of Hangman on this channel. He has more appearances in my videos than he does appearances in comics. Hangman is similar to the Needle. He is a guy who abducts women and locks them in his basement. And that again is quite down to earth and real, and more on the side of horror than superhero. There is a page, I think a splash page at the start of the next issue. Spider-Girl tied to a chair in darkness. That is very much that story. I think Marky Mark observed, as did I, that of all of Mark Wolfenstein's tries at doing something with Spider-Girl, that one was distinct. That one seemed the most exciting, the most interesting, and it felt like something that was unlike a lot of what the other B and C tier Marvel solo titles were. Werewolf at 8 was also in one, and yeah, Spider-Girl was maybe the superhero bridge between Marvel Comics and Marvel's horror output of the early 70s. Werewolf at 8 is in one of Marky Mark's issues as well. They were both set in San Francisco, hence the overlap there. Right now, all I can say is heal, Super Dogs. It's the infamous Milk Duds Super Duds sweepstakes. The next thing that we get is a quick origin for the Needle. Some backstory for him. He was an old man who was beaten by a street gang and left blind in one eye, and he has been unable to speak since then. Very simple stuff. It doesn't need more than that. I want to point to something that is tremendous in this. There is a small sliver of it on this page, and that is the work with shadows. Again, completely appropriate for the tone that the book is going for. And here we go with a more obvious example of it. The Needle's slender shadow stalking Jeremy Hunt in an alleyway. Spider-Girl finally catches the Needle in the act. And for an old man with one eye, he actually lasts fairly long in a fight with an actual superhuman. I will say the lack of backgrounds on a lot of the art hurts most of the time. In the end, the Needle, he attempts to stitch Spider-Girl's mouth shut. And then Spider-Girl overpowers him and he is defeated. Part of me wishes that this was it for the Needle. He does appear again though, and a lot of the horror and the weirdness is taken away from him. Marky Mark includes him among the Neat Shift, a team who appear in Captain America a bunch. They are in a West Coast Avengers issue, also by Marky Mark. And then they are in other stories by other people too. The Needle, his origins, and even his unsettling nature, his motivations, they don't really matter in any of those stories. You never see him stitch someone else's mouth shut. And then, by a certain point, the Needle is looking like a typical, well-built super character instead of Slender Man. This is a good issue that shows so much promise in where Spider-Girl could and does go for a bit. She is more of a DC character. Everything about this is like it is more in line with DC. And we even have an artist mostly known for DC. Obviously, Marky Mark G was famously a big DC fanboy who spent his career at Marvel. So it's not that surprising that his first ongoing writing assignment was a Marvel title that was encroaching on DC's territory. I think of all of the run, this issue is the most accessible, and it sets up everything that Spider-Girl would, could, and should have become. I'm not sure if I have really been able to articulate what I like so much about this run. I think I've said the words in an order, but not quite gotten the meaning across. Look forward to my next Spider-Girl video, because you will absolutely hate it and think that I have lost the plot and become insufferably woke and therefore insufferably broke. I'm giving this a 7 thumbs up because it is good.